Hello and welcome back, you beautiful, beautiful people. I hope you're doing good. I hope you have your games, you're playing, and you're happy. Today we're gonna react to Asmongold as he gives his review to Diablo 4, something I was looking forward to. Today I tried to record two like reactions to reviews, but it wasn't current. It wasn't like into the upcoming seasons, and it was a month back, nothing really relevant. And then this came out. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it because your time is the most important thing. Let's go. Let's react. Diablo 4 review.
My thoughts on Diablo 3. All right, let's start over. My thoughts on Diablo 4. So, let's talk about obviously the campaign. I think the campaign was very good. I liked the campaign. Campaign was very well put together, and just overall, I liked the cinematics. I think it flowed together very well. Everything was voice acted. There were great little cutscenes. Nothing is bad about the campaign. I think the campaign was a universal W, and I was very happy about it. I also think that it left off on a position to where it definitely opens up the possibility for expansions, and it's obvious what those expansions are going to be, right? You've got the Mephisto shit. Like, obviously, I mean, how many fucking times have we killed Diablo? Like 15? And he keeps coming back. I'm sure Lilith will be back too. So you've got Diablo himself, Baal, fucking Mephisto, like all that stuff. Yeah. So campaign was amazing. The gameplay, this is the best way for me to describe the gameplay for Diablo 4. I think that the levels 1 through 80 in Diablo 4, 1 through 70, maybe a little bit to 1 to 80 depending on your RNG, are better than PoE, and I think 70 to 100 or 80 to 100, depending on RNG and how well you play and stuff like that, that part is better in PoE. Because I feel like Diablo 4, it misses that last fifth of the game. Like 1 to 20 is great, 20 to 40 is great, 40 to 60 is great, 60 to 80 is like mostly great, and then 80 to 100 is like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Why am I doing this? I'm farming all of this gear. I'm getting all of these Paragon levels for what? To kill Uber Lilith and get nothing? Who cares? Right? There's no point to it. I'm not motivated to continue doing it. So like I feel like I just run out of motivation to continue doing this, right? It seems for nothing. Yes, it's just for nothing. Yes, maybe I'll get them out. Maybe I'll kill Uber Lilith at some point, but my motivation for it is very minimal. Somebody brings up in chat, race to 100, hardcore is super fun to watch, but seeing all the illegitimate deaths was a letdown. Blizzard is fixing that. Everybody said I was wrong with this. Apparently Blizzard disagrees. So I think that's great to see. Blizzard is changing that. On top of that, another thing that's happening is they're adding in like little bonus things into the game, right? Like the gem tab. I do not understand how adding a gem tab into this game. I don't understand how this takes until season 2. And I really hope that Blizzard realizes that not everybody in the world lives inside of Blizzard time dilation, where like changing the spelling on something takes 10 months. So if the game is bad, people are just going to move away from the game, and a lot of times they're not going to come back and play it whenever it's good again. And this is what happened with Shadowlands, is that Shadowlands was bad for so long because Blizzard refused to listen to what the player base said. And then by the time that it was improved at the end of the game, well, nobody cared anymore. And Diablo 3 was the same thing, yes. So I don't think that Blizzard can rely on people just waiting around for the game to get better. They need to be making these changes proactively, immediately. New World is another great example of this. Immediately. Like, I don't want to wait until Season 7 for the game to be good. This is ridiculous, because by the time Season 7 comes out, people are going to lost interest in the game. I think that's another big issue. A lot of these changes have come They've been too slow, basically. So just in general, the cadence of changes has been both too fast, or sorry, very fast and too slow. Some of the things like making adjustments to different abilities, nerfing.
So far, like looking at the game while he's playing, of course, the grinding we love, the Diablo grinding. What he's saying that until the end game, like the last push, 80 to 100, it's like very unfriendly, not user friendly, and all based on very poor RNG, which is a shame to hear because that's what we're here for, to hear about the end game a bit. And let's jump a bit. Worst classes for leveling. I don't care about the challenge. I look at the end. Okay. Problem with dungeons. Okay.
That's the way I feel. Yep. Am I gonna have to kill all the mobs and like there's one little fucking goblin that's sitting over in the corner, and because it was kind of close but he's in another room, you have to like run around to get him, and you didn't actually have him get pulled to you at the end. You've got to rescue 7 villagers, and it's a spider area, so you're getting the little spiders attacking you constantly. It's like they're very annoying, and I'd like to have more dungeons that were just focused on killing mobs rather than completing menial tasks over and over and over. They're obnoxious. Also hitting dead ends or missing something and then having to run back and get it again. I'm not asking for just like pure fucking all gas, no brakes, greater rifts. I don't mean that, but like at least make the things that you have to do not as fucking annoying. Also, doing the like these are going to be like little things. Like I don't really have this structured very well in my head, so I'm going to be kind of jumping around a little bit. But like inside of the dungeons, the events inside of the dungeons are fucking garbage. Every single like wave that you do after wave 5 should have more and more elites. Like more and more and more and more until you either die or the timer runs out. Because that would be really cool. Like I don't want to do like oh I'm on wave 9 and 3 succubus spawn. One's here, one's here, one's here, and then there's also a fucking demon that spawns over here. And you kill them, and then it's like, okay, now there's 4 succubus. Oh. Oh. Okay. Thank God. So, like, you need to have a way to complete the activities faster. Because having to sit there for an entire minute whenever you're just re-killing non-elites over and over, how many of you guys just skip the events? Because I skip the events every single time. Unless, like, I'm just... Levels 1 to 70 is a good experience, where, like, you get more and more powerful and stronger and it feels better. Like, I think so. At 1 to 50? Sure, 1 to 50. And just 1 to 50 is a good amount of time playing the game. The problem with the end game in Diablo is very simple. There is nothing for you to achieve past level 80, except for more Paragon levels and maybe getting the exact same piece of gear that you already have, where it says a 13 instead of a 12. Is this really a good time? Is this really fun? I don't think so. So what they need to do is they need to add a tier 5. They need to add a world tier 5 and then have different items drop there that have more than 4 affixes. Because I think that only 4 affixes on gear is kind of boring. I think gear in general is kind of boring. I think the best example of that is the weapon ability pool. So like core skill damage, damage over time, damage to injured enemies, damage to healthy enemies, damage to bleeding enemies, damage to basic skills, damage over time. Like all of these things are just different percentages that don't fucking matter, that don't change your gameplay in any sort of a meaningful way. It's just percentages that make the number go up. They don't feel better. Like for example, if you compare it to like patch 5.4 in Mists of Pandaria, your character plays massively fucking different because you have more haste, more crit chance, and more crit damage, and more mastery, so you can proc more things. So I don't really feel like my character is becoming like it's not really coming online, and I'm not getting these cool abilities whenever I'm leveling up. I'm just getting more percentages. And if you compare this to Diablo 3, at the beginning of the game, where attack speed scaled your crit damage, and your crit damage scaled with your crit strike, and then all of these scaled with your main stat, the game felt a lot more complete in that way. And you could actually feel your character getting stronger, and the way your character played was better. So that's one big factor. I think that it just doesn't really
Let's
feel
jump a
needed.
bit. Open world events.
And like the open world events like this, I think are fucking amazing too. I really, really like them. Where you can see people out in the world doing stuff, fighting other mobs. I think that is so cool. And I also think that the mount customization is pretty cool too. I wish you were able to zoom in a little bit more, but for the most part, I'm very happy with the way the game is in that regard. In terms of like the open world and the graphics of the game, I think that they're all really, really nice. And I think that, again, the real problems in this game, they manifest themselves towards the very end of the game. Like at the beginning of the game, most of these problems you don't have to deal with. Like they're not really a big issue or anything like that. Also, sellers, it would be nice if sellers were a little bit more worthwhile. Personally, I don't think that there's ever a reason to go and do a seller. Like people say that you can get a bunch of treasure goblins or something like that. Maybe you can, but overall it doesn't really make that much sense. Anyway, I guess you can talk about, like, I think a lot of people that have played the game know what I'm talking about with this. Like the different barricades that the game puts up. There is never a time that you want to get off your mount whenever you're riding to a dungeon to destroy a barricade, to kill 2 skeleton archers that are standing behind the barricade, doing 1/100th of your health every 5 seconds. Game. But I think also if you play it enough, you will learn to dislike it. And I think that it doesn't really reward players that play it a lot. Like, for example, if you play the game,
That's my
you know,
fear.
like 50 hours, I think that you're going to probably have a really good experience playing the game. But if you, here, like this. Okay, this, actually, to be fair, that one was pretty good. But many of them are not. If you played the game, you'd know that. 15 hours, yeah. We're in Season 0. Well, that's why I'm giving feedback now. I'm talking about the game now in Season 0, so they can't... So then they can't be like, oh, well, we didn't know. We didn't know. Nah, people are talking about it even now. Because Diablo's a very popular game, right? I mean, this game is the fastest-selling PC game in history. So, a lot
Let's
of people...
jump to
all my renown.
overall thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, overall, like, again... I'm very positive about this game, but I think that there's no point to play it after level 80. Like, I'm effectively just wasting my time right now. I go in, I do a dungeon, I know, like, I'm not even looking at the loot, nothing that they drop is gonna be good. Like, I could loot it just for gold, maybe, so I could re-roll an item that I already had. But, like, do I really feel like doing that? Probably not. There's good uniques from 85 plus. Yeah, but, like, how many of those uniques has Rob gotten, for example? Gotten these uniques, you're probably not going to get them either. So, like, just think about it from there. Like, I'm surprised so many people get hoodwinked by that. For players, something more to do. And I would also like to see some of the early levels be a little bit less painful for druids and barbarians.
Okay, thank you, Asmongold. I think that's how you pronounce it. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, do let me know. Well, we heard everything. I heard what I needed to hear, and it was as I feared. It looks good until you reach the end game, like a lot of games, and then you find yourself just there because you invested the time and it's not fun enough to keep you actually engaged. And until it will improve, I will wait for the upcoming seasons and watch some more content and understand whether or not they are listening to players' feedback, and then there's a bright future ahead, or we're it won't improve and will just go downhill. Thank you so much for being here with me in this reaction. I really appreciate you, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. And let me know what you're playing, what you think we should cover here, what we should react to. That's it. Thank you. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Thank you, and goodbye.